It was a cloudy evening in Bengaluru, the kind where the sky turns silver and the air smells of rain and filter coffee. MG Road was alive with traffic, honking autos, and people rushing home before the rain started. And in the middle of all that chaos, two strangers met. Ananya worked at a tech company in Whitfield. Long hours, endless deadlines, and dreams bigger than the skyline. Raghav owned a small bookstore near Church Street, a quiet place filled with stories and old music playing softly in the background. One evening, as the first drops of rain began to fall, Ananya ran into the bookstore to escape the sudden Bengaluru shower. She was frustrated, another delayed cab, another exhausting day. Raghav looked up from behind the counter and smiled. Bengaluru rain doesn't knock. It just enters your life. She laughed for the first time that day. She wandered through the shelves while rain tapped against the windows. The city outside was loud, but inside everything felt calm. She picked up a poetry book. He noticed. "You like poetry?" he asked. "Only on days when life feels heavier than usual," she replied. That was the beginning. After that day, she started visiting the bookstore often, sometimes after work, sometimes on weekends, sometimes with no reason at all. They talked about books, about life in the city, about how Bengaluru traffic tests patience more than any life lesson ever could. He told her how he loved this city for its mornings at Kuban Park, the peaceful walks around Lauberg, the smell of jasmine flowers sold at traffic signals. She told him how she came from Mysuru with big dreams and how sometimes the city felt too big for her heart. One Sunday morning, they met at Kuban Park. The sun filtered through tall trees. Children laughed in the distance, and elderly couples walked hand in hand. They sat on the grass, sharing hot idealists wrapped in banana leaves. "Do you ever feel like the city listens?" she asked. Raghav smiled. "Only when you whisper your truth." Weeks turned into months. Bengaluru became their witness. Late-night drives on the outer ring road, coffee dates in Indarunagar, watching sunsets from Nandi Hills at 5 a.m., sharing silence during power cuts while rain poured endlessly outside. Love didn't arrive dramatically. It grew quietly, like the trees in Laubergs, strong and patient. One evening, while walking on Church Street under glowing fairy lights, he stopped. "Ananya," he said softly, "you walked into my bookstore because of rain, but you stayed because of something else." She looked at him, her heartbeat louder than the city noise. "I don't just want to be part of your story," he continued. "I want to write it with you." Her eyes filled with tears. "Raghav, I'm scared of what? Of losing this? Of losing you?" He held her hand gently. Love isn't about holding tight. It's about choosing each other every day, and under the Bengaluru night sky, surrounded by strangers and street music, she whispered, "I choose you." But life in a fast city never stays simple. Ananya got an offer from a company in Hyderabad, a huge promotion. The kind she had worked for all her life. It was everything she wanted, except it meant leaving Bengaluru, leaving him. They sat near Ulcer Lake one evening, watching the water reflect city lights. "I don't want to choose between my dreams and you," she said. Raghav looked at her quietly. "Then don't." She was confused. "What do you mean? Go chase your dreams." "I fell in love with the girl who dared to come to Bengaluru alone. Don't become someone smaller for me." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "And what about us?" He smiled sadly. "If it's real, distance won't erase it. Bengaluru rains always come back." She left. The bookstore felt emptier. The city felt louder. He continued his days, but every time it rained, he looked at the door, half expecting her to walk in again. Months passed. One evening, during peak traffic near MG Road, rain began pouring heavily. People ran for shelter. Raghav stood outside his bookstore, watching the familiar chaos, and then he saw her. Standing across the street, suitcase in hand, drenched in rain, smiling through tears. He crossed the road without thinking. "I thought you had Hyderabad," he said breathlessly. "I did," she replied. "But every success felt incomplete without the city, and the person who made it home. You came back. I realized something," she said softly. "Dreams feel bigger when shared." Rain poured around them. Autos splashed water. People rushed past it. But for them, the world stood still. "I don't need a perfect city," she continued. "I just need you, and maybe a little Bengaluru rain." He pulled her close. Under the unpredictable sky of Karnataka, amidst honking traffic and the scent of wet earth, they found each other again. Because sometimes love isn't about leaving or staying, it's about returning. And in a city that never truly sleeps, their hearts finally found rest.